everybody, welcome back to the Pool Box Pals podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Monk, and that little chuckle that you heard in the background comes from my good pal Mad Mark. How you doing tonight, buddy?
It's actually Mad Mark the Chuckler.
Wow, that got me.
You'll get it next time.
I'm
doing all right, man. I'm doing good. It's kind of been a long week. We were on.
It's only Wednesday too.
It's only Wednesday, but I mean, since last Wednesday, like if you take that as the full week, it's been felt a little long for me, but it's been good, and I had a good time on Comic Book Layers podcast. So,
dude, me too.
If you're listening to us now and you haven't been in the know of it yet, but we were on Comic Book Layers' most recent podcast that came out this last Monday, and it was a jolly time.
It was a jolly time. It was a great time to be had by all. There's definitely some bromancing of us just shooting DMs back and forth to each other, just being like, "Hey, good episode, bro. Hey, yeah, hey, good episode. Good episode to you too. Good episode. Good." And then
we just go back and forth. That's really all. Like for the listeners, that's all we say to each other. It's just your
good
episode was great. Thanks, man. Hey, your episode was great too. Oh, thanks to you too.
It's like at the end of a sporting event where they like give each other like handshakes and nut pounds and butt taps. That's like the podcasting version of that. Is just shooting a DM, just being like, good episode. That was good. You guys did a good job.
But in all seriousness, we do have some good chit chats with them on Instagram. So, and we had a great chit chat on their podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's what I thought you were
check
plugging.
that out. Yeah. And then in other news, I feel really bad about this. So last week I talked about Dream Master was coming out, I think that Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I said Jonathan Chance wrote it, and that is completely my mistake. I kind of have my reasonings for it, and but anyways, Jonathan Hedrick wrote it, and I've been talking with both of them on Instagram, and they're both Jonathan. And so it just Chance is a lot easier to say than Hedrick. And because one syllable versus two syllables, it's a lot harder on the tongue. I'm not going to keep making excuses, but sorry to both of them. They're both great writers. I've enjoyed my conversations with them and the material that they've put out. So,
dude, we didn't even get to talk about this backstage at all. But I'm loving those shelves that you put up, buddy. Those are beautiful. There it was.
There it is.
The Pool Box Pop. What are we drinking?
Oat
soda
from Bearlick Beer.
Okay, if that wasn't a beer, I was gonna say that was the most like Oregon hipster thing you could do. Is just like, this is an oat soda. But
I got some new shelves. There's actually a third one that I might put up, but we'll see.
God, Star Wars is so cool.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about Star Wars in a long time. It feels like, outside of we do talk about it on the Pool Box Pals, but like us personally, I feel like on here we haven't talked about it much.
I mean, yeah, like Bad Batch is going on. Have you been watching that?
I finished up the first season and I really enjoy it, but it is like one of those shows where I'll just like put it on and like do something else, like play like some handheld video games or something like that,
Yeah.
But
I usually watch the latest episode while I'm folding laundry.
Okay, well, that sounds like the most like adult thing.
Bad life.
Hashtag adulting. Am I right? Queeby? What's that called? What's it called when the younger generation makes fun of millennials? It's like called now I'm losing it. Now I'm really showing my age. Ask your kids.
I'll ask my kids. They'll know.
But hey, man,
they say words that I don't understand all the time. So,
well, isn't it fun growing up? Here's some words that you do understand, though. Comic book shop and to and a question mark. Did you get to make it to the comic shop?
Yeah, I did. And I got a few things. I picked up a couple off the shelf. Yeah, I got 5 comics today.
Oh, since you talked about what that's actually, I got less than that. So you still got more than me.
5 is good for me,
That is very good. That's very self-contained. I'm going back to Brisk. This was our This is our drink for season 1, but I got some for season 2.
They need to bring those commercials back.
They do. They 100% do. With just modern. Do you remember Celebrity Deathmatch?
Yeah.
They need to bring that back too. They need to bring back clay animation. Even if it's animated clay animation, that style of world is super cool.
Yeah, because I mean, mostly these days it's all CGI, and then even if it is looking like it's clay, it might also still be CGI. But
Right.
um, what wasn't Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio? Wasn't that
Who
was
knows? Mark, I'm never gonna watch that, but as far as
yeah,
I know,
I don't
it's a
know.
mystery. Oh, you can
But
see my cat's tail.
it still happens. But yeah, bring back the claymation. But yeah, I did make it down to my comic book shop, Matt's Cavalcade Comics, and Matt was there today, so I got to chat with Matt. That was cool. Um, so first up, I got a new Star Wars. Speaking of, it's the new Santa Staros run. So Santa Staros is like the alleged ex-wife of Han Solo, but Han Solo says they were never actually married. I'm sure maybe in like what you've read, she's come
Yeah.
up.
Hmm.
But she's mostly a part of Dr. Afra right now.
Okay. Right.
Um,
I think I saw that because I did see that cover and I thought that that's who that was. But
yeah,
yeah, nice.
and then I was also excited to see that this was on that key comics list. Like that's what I look at now. Like when I go into the shop, because I already know what I'm getting. And
Right.
I'm like, oh, is there anything on this list that I'm not getting that maybe I should get? And this is one I was getting, and was also on that list. So that was cool. And I got the next quick stops here, which is that Kevin Smith series.
Right.
I've still only read the first one. I'm kind of building these up because after reading the first one, I didn't hate it, but I was just like, I'm gonna keep all these and just read them all because it seems like I might enjoy it more that way.
Hmm.
And the next, what do I got here? Oh, Minor Threats. I believe this is the final issue number 4.
Oh, there you
This
go.
is that Patton Oswalt series. And then
That
these are
Texas
the
blood, that Patton Oswalt series.
yeah. And then I picked up 2 more off of the shelf today. I got Harley Quinn's Romances issue 1.
I saw that. I was tempted to get that. So maybe you'll have to let me know how that is. Not maybe. Do it.
Yeah. So the reason I picked that
Do it.
up and this one is because this next one is because they were both on that key comics list. And the next one is Bloodline, Daughter of Blade.
Nice.
So yeah, picked up a couple keys today.
What's the daughter of Blade's name? For a second, I thought
Oh,
it was Bloodlines, but then I'm like, no, that means
so
Bladette.
I'm gonna be a little honest about Blade. All I know about Blade is the movies, and then
Yeah.
anytime he shows up in another person's comic.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
So mostly it's like seems like he deals with Spider-Man quite a bit.
I read the first issue of the Mighty Avengers, and he I guess was in the Avengers because there's a time when they go to the Avengers
Yeah.
Tower, and he's sitting there. He's like, "Hey, I'm an Avenger." I'm like, "Oh, Blade, you made it. You must have a
Yeah.
movie coming up."
Yeah, no, you're right. I can't think of what that was. But I know
We
what you're talking about. Like what
like
series it was an Avengers thing, but
it was
wasn't it
Mighty
part of like
Avengers.
a oh, it was
Well,
Mighty Avengers?
he popped in. I think he's just part of the main Avengers, but who knows? Because I'm not getting into
Yeah.
Marvel.
I don't know, but like I said, he kind of pops into places, and I've never
Hmm.
like actually read a Blade comic before. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think I
Um,
have either.
yeah. My
No.
brother growing up, my brother was really into Blade. I
Okay,
wonder if he still has his
you'll have to
copies.
ask him.
I'll have to ask him. Because I know I've talked about how he found his like Death of Superman runs.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
With like the after the death of Superman, when he had those like other Supermen come in, there was like
Yeah, so he has all
Steel
the
and
issue
whatnot.
he has the issue 1 of yeah, Superboy, and then like that Terminator looking one, which I forget what its name was. Then yeah, Steel, and then like Man of Tomorrow or something. It was like a
Okay, yeah.
futuristic Superman, but like they
Yeah.
all came in. So he has all the number 1s of those, and I was like, can I have them? He said no.
Ah,
So
dang. Well, what are you gonna do? Sometimes life throws you curveballs. But I was actually able to make it to my shop today, which
oh,
was
you did?
nice. Yeah.
Let's see what you
Um,
got.
what I got, the thing that I am, well, I won't say I'm most excited about, but I'm most curious about because this is a number one that I haven't gotten to really look into much. It's Where Monsters Lie. It's from Dark Horse. It's got a
Yeah,
team of people that I don't
I
really know.
I looked for that one as well.
Yeah.
My shop didn't have it.
Ah. So this was another comic that when I went into my comic, I'll plug the name Alchemist Cove in Schuylkill Haven, Pennsylvania. That's not where I live, so I'm not doxing myself. Anywho, um, yeah, when I went in, he was really stoked about this, and he was glad that I pulled it and said it's really funny. I wasn't 100% sure what like to expect, but it's kind of like how he was explaining it is like it's like different versions of like the Americana horror collection of
Yeah.
creatures meets the Brady Bunch. So
Ah,
yeah, and it's I believe it's four
it's
issues.
like the Munsters.
Kind of like the Munsters, but it seems like they're all murderers. Like it seems like it's actually like a little bit darker and people
Oh,
die.
so it's like the
Yeah.
Munsters take it to 11.
Yeah, I just opened up the first page and there's someone like losing an eyeball. So
Yeah.
I would imagine that's a little bit different from the Munsters. But yeah, so I'm excited to get into that. You'll probably hear back from me up either here or on Instagram or something like that.
Yeah.
I got
I would
Bloodtree.
hope so.
I would too hope so.
Yeah.
I got Bloodtree. Did Ray talk about this when we were on the podcast about getting this?
He
I
talked
remember
about
I should have asked this before we started
well,
podcasting.
because remember he yeah, and I just listened to the episode too, and I can't remember, but he asked
Oh
us at
no.
the end what we were looking forward to next week or
Yeah, and
this
I
like
think
this
this
week.
is yeah.
And
I think this
and
might
he
be it.
said, yeah, and Kyle had said like, yeah, he didn't have any in his like polls for this week,
Right.
which that happens. That happened to me, I think last March. Like,
Yeah. Last
yeah,
March.
or April.
Yeah, I mean it happens to me less because I tend to not ask my comic book shop to like pull things because a lot of the things that I get are just 4 or 5 issues. So like by the time that I decide that I would like it, I'm like you're pulling 2 more issues for me,
Yeah,
or 3 more, or whatever. It doesn't really seem worth it. Unless now since I asked him to pull this for me before like at issue 1, I would imagine that issue 2 will show up in my box. No questions asked, which is
yeah.
fine. But yeah, I don't really know much about this. So that's that. It's thicker though, and it's from Image. So I would imagine
Oh,
there's
right on.
there's something good in there. And then uh I
When you
got
get a thick comic, there's got to be something good in there.
oh wow, look at that. If you're watching the video, I'm like matching my face up perfectly with
Yeah.
this comic. But I mean that's kind of sad because this girl's like a hostage, and this is the comic Nobody's Girl. Um Issue number 3. And yeah, I've talked about this a while ago. This is about a guy who has a porn addiction, tracks down
Oh yeah,
somebody
yeah,
that he
yeah.
sees in that a video that he thinks is like more of like a hostage tape and not like any sort of adult entertainment. But yeah, it's a small book. Like if you compare it to like it's physically smaller. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let me even them up. So it's not that drastic, but yeah, it's smaller. It's all in black and white. So yeah, it's just like a weird like look into this world. So the art's
Cool.
really fun. It's very like just kind of Sunday morning cartoon, like in the newspaper kind of
Hmm.
art. And I really enjoy that for the seriousness of the story, that it didn't try to be like dark and heavy, but it actually tried to like, I don't know, had I don't know, do something interesting with the art instead of trying to just be all dark or what have you. But
Yeah.
the one that I again am most excited about, I just keep going on and on about this comic, but Behold Behemoth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
You've been pretty stoked on that one.
I have, and it uh I must have missed it last week because I asked my comic book guy when I got there today if it came out, and he said no. And then I was walking around and it was sitting. I actually need to stop ignoring this, but there's a boom like standee in my comic book shop that just has like a bunch of boom
Oh,
stuff on it. So that
boom,
has
boom,
like
boom.
boom, boom, boom. So it has
Sorry, Ray.
so sorry, Ray. Or you're welcome, Ray. One or the
You're
other.
welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. Um it had Something is Killing the Children, House of Slaughter, like all of those comics were there, but I never gave them a chance because a lot of the covers are very like sometimes not very reflective of the inside. They're very like middle gothic, kind of like,
Yeah.
like
I know what you're talking about.
whatever I'm trying to say there. Neo-Gothic, I don't know what it is, but it's covers that aren't typically appealing to me, but not necessarily reflective of the art inside. So I need to start checking that out more. But yeah, Behold Behemoth, I really like can't even truly explain what this story is about because it's just so weird and crazy. But yeah, super big fan of the art. Yeah, definitely give that a go. That's something that I'm probably
Yeah.
going to try to read tonight or tomorrow as quickly as I can.
I'm actually wondering if they've already announced when the trade paperback is coming out and if I asked
For
for it.
this?
Yeah.
Mm.
Because that's what I'm trying to move towards this year is getting more like waiting for trade paperbacks to come out for things that I want to read because I'm trying to save my pocket a little bit.
Yeah, understandable.
But yeah, was that all you got this week?
That was all that I got. Besides, I actually picked up one comic. I just remembered this. Shadows or Breath of Shadows. Is that what it is? Breath of Shadows. Let me pull it up. I got the digital version of it. It is, yeah. So all right, I'm just gonna say it. It's called Breath of Shadow. Shadow of Breath. Oh my goodness, my tablet's going too slow. Anyways, it's something like that. Yeah, and I haven't read it or anything, but I saw that it was recently released on Comixology, and it was like a discount or something like that. So I figured I would just pick it up and give it a go. Are you trying to Google it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Oh yeah. So this is another one that I was looking for at my shop and they didn't get.
Oh. How'd you hear?
Sometimes
Was this a key one, or did you just hear about it somewhere?
it was a key one, but I also had read about it. But it was too late for me to ask my shop to get it and so I was like, you know
From
what, we'll just see if somebody else asked for it because my shop kind of explained to me that like when they order one like indie comic, I think they have to at least order one more.
Yeah, I would imagine it's something like that.
And so I was kind of banging on or banking on
Oh, it's kind of
Ban-
banging.
I was banking on somebody else having tried to pull it, so there'd be another copy there. But I did
Mm,
get there a little late today, so maybe somebody beat me to it because like the new comic shelf was fairly bare, like a lot of DC and Marvel, but not a whole lot of indies.
right.
So
Interesting.
yeah, but
But
I'm
hey,
also
man.
starting to understand. I've brought it up before. My town's just not really a comic town.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people who do get comics here, they're much older than me, which isn't a bad thing. I'd love to like actually chat with some of them, but
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. Um, but yeah, should we get into our readings for this last week? I mean,
Yeah.
I already talked about a few of them on our pals podcast, so
Hmm.
you can go hear those conversations over there. Like Last Ronin is for sure the Lost Years. That was for sure something we talked about. And you were a huge fan of the baby turtles.
I definitely was. But yeah, so yeah, I feel like I got into so many comics this week, but we were fortunate enough to have somebody reach out to us and offer to send us the comic to read and review, and
Yeah,
we did just that. That was our friends at The comic is called Outer Spaced,
yeah,
and I'm really digging it, man. How
yeah.
you feeling about it?
It was kind of like a comedy comic.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I laughed quite a bit throughout it, and I think that the humor is what I appreciated most because it just brought up vibes for me of like things I watched growing up, um, which I'll mention as we continue to converse about it. But
Mm-hmm.
do you want to set it up a little bit?
Yeah, so I really enjoy the premise of this. It's a stoner sci-fi, and
Yeah,
I guess the premise that we find ourselves in is that aliens have invaded, and they have shown to not be peaceful. So there is a mandatory draft that goes to all citizens of the world that they have to join this. the first it's called they're called the Space Force, I'm pretty sure. Which
Yeah.
is
Well, and it's like everything else has been destroyed. Like SEAL Team 6 gone. Like whatever the CIA has to offer gone. Like we're talking about like they're just saying everybody has to serve when their name is called.
right.
And so it's just like pretty much all the people who should have been able to do it are dead. And that's another part of this story that I just found like really funny because it's just like, what if like something happened that aliens coming in pyramid shaped spaceships and we have pyramids that we have so many questions about and
Yeah.
they come and it seems like yeah it's cool like in Independence Day when there's those
Yeah.
people who go greet and they're on top of the building and then they're the first ones that are
Mhm.
killed by the beam that comes down. Like there was like kind of that vibe in the beginning
Mhm.
because there's people there like welcoming these aliens and they have like tentacle hands, the aliens do, with spikes on it, and
Yeah.
just immediately just started devouring humanity. And it's just like, man, what are we gonna do? And so now it's yeah, there's pretty much the people who have tried to not go into the army are being called into the army.
Right, and I really like that take on it. I thought that was very interesting just to see kind of because that is kind of just a trope for the like a Navy movie or an Army movie or whatever that you have like these clashings of egos kind of within it, but this
Yeah,
is a different kind of clashing because you have like stoners who just kind of don't want to be there, and then you have like prissy girls and jocks and kind of all this different layout of different types of just
yeah.
people.
Well,
And
and it's
it's
like the two main characters. So like the first character we're really introduced to is I forget her name, but she was like a kindergarten teacher.
yeah.
And when she it's introduced, she's giving this whole speech to her class. And like at first you can't tell who like what age she's talking to, but
Hmm.
she's giving this whole speech as if like she's talking to college students.
Yeah.
She's lecturing about like being drafted.
Hmm.
And then she's just like, you know what, but like there's nothing I can do. My name was called and you kids like if you figure out how to get through this and survive and and then it's like preschoolers or kindergartners.
It's a
And
elementary school. I was just looking back
yeah,
through trying to find her name. So her name is Miss Nixon. That's the
yeah,
only one I
yeah,
could see off of. I'm trying to find like um uh a full name, but I just passed one of my favorite lines. And it says, "Just my luck, off to certain death sober." And there's
oh
just
yeah,
some look at the art. Um, yeah, it's pretty dope. Very much enjoying it. Let's
yeah,
give some credit to the creators if I can find their names anywhere. But yeah,
shit.
what
Let's see, we got
we both just ran to their Instagram page, or that's where I'm headed. But not.
Benjamin Collins, is
Oh,
that
that's right. It is in here. I found it in here. Sorry about that. Um, just loading. It's going towards the
there we
front.
go,
Oh goodness.
here we go, skittering.
Oh, okay. I found it. Story and words by Ben Collins and Eric Alred. The art and colors is by Jaqueen Venturi, and the letters are by Ben Collins. So that's one heck of a
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
Issue number one is the one. So we just got issue number one, and I do
yeah,
believe that it is available for like purchasing at some
yeah.
places. Let's see if I can find find where that's at.
But yeah, like these guys are super indie. I think that the it says B Comics put it out.
Yeah, I believe that's what it says
And
on the cover.
yeah,
BE
and so
Comics.
so
Here,
this
I'll hold it up.
these guys are probably making this like themselves and
Mhm.
it might just be this team of three. They may have another guy in the background, but like good for them. Like you guys put a
Yeah.
comic out and it's great. Like the storylines and the characters are like well developed from the start because you can relate to them.
Mhm.
Um just for like like no, I'm not somebody who ever went into the military. I don't have a problem with the military, but it was just never a part of like my life, and so it's like I would be in this group of people too. And Yeah,
Yeah,
just
I found myself relating to the main character very much because I feel like I would try to be like that sarcastic, like witty guy in the army. I'm just kind of being like the class clown and not taking it seriously. And then I would
yeah,
just have to like repetitively like get my butt kicked and like whipped into shape. And that's all that my if this was a situation, or maybe like the reality is if I was fighting aliens, I would probably be a little bit more the characters are like it's definitely a comedy insofar as like all the characters are very relaxed. They're not
yeah,
like in like panic mode, but it is very much like a stoner comedy of just like, oh man, I got to
yeah,
deal with this, now like that's very
yeah.
much what it feels like
No, I mean it definitely has
in a
like
good
some
way.
vibes of Half Baked in it, just in the terms of like the two main characters are stoners, like what was her name again? Miss Nixon.
Yep, mixed and
Yeah.
and then Moses is the
And
hookup
then yeah,
guy.
or Mose.
Mose
Yeah,
for
or
short.
yeah, Mose for short. And he's the dealer, but he's also like a chef at a restaurant.
Yeah. Well, and
and and then
some
he just hangs up his apron to drive off to catch his draft bus.
yeah, and is he the one that makes all the marijuana lollipops that get
Yeah,
passed? Yeah.
so and like this is where this is like the funniest part of it is just like
Mhm.
imagine yourself in the scenario that you're this guy and you just got drafted into being on some team that has to be whipped into shape in like a few days to go fight the aliens, and you're allowed to bring along some possessions, I guess. And so he brought his like edible stash,
Mhm.
and then like part of the story is that there's a thief in the bunker, like somebody that is in the bunker with them or in like where they sleep, um is stealing from other people. And so somebody steals his stash and starts passing it out to everybody, but they don't know that it's cannabis. And
Mhm.
so the entire like squad is like high, and like some of them are like freaking out because they've never done it before.
Right,
And
yeah,
others are like, I haven't done this in a while. And like it's
yeah.
just, it was very well like that scenario. Like every scenario that actually happened throughout this comic was very well told as its own
Mhm.
like little subplot of the overall story.
Right.
And so I did really enjoy it.
Yeah, I do really like kind of I don't wanna say the twist, but kind of the shock ending. I thought I really appreciated that. I don't know if you can remember. I don't wanna spoil it because I think it would be worth it, but the ending of this, I will say, is very good.
Yeah.
But another part of this that I really enjoyed was she showed her, stash, um, box,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's all like the Chicago she calls it the Chicago Bulls, and it's all named of like different either basketball players or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
different types of basketball terms that I don't know. But yeah, this was just a whole lot of fun. I'm very excited to see where this story goes because I
Yeah.
would imagine, especially again with how this ends, we're going to be seeing like some weird stuff in the next couple, like not just weird, but like trippy. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm
Oh, I'm
pretty
looking
stoked.
back on the last 2 panels, and yeah, like
Don't spoil it,
I'm
Mark.
not gonna spoil it, but like
Come on.
the second to last page, which is I guess the second to last panel as well, where it has
Mhm.
the to be continued. Um, that's some great artwork.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. So thanks to the team behind Outer Space. Like, thank you for like letting us read this. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was very enjoyable. It was top notch. I'm genuinely gonna pick up number 2. I'm gonna keep on this.
Yeah.
I'm pretty stoked about it. So we
Uh,
got into another one that we both read, I believe. Rhymes
Census.
with rhymes with Rensis. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean you
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
said it, but yeah. Census.
Yeah. Census. Yeah. That did the last one come out last week, or was
I
it a couple
think
weeks ago?
I think it was last week. It could have been
Yeah.
it's definitely within the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Um
What? So now that it's over, let's just pop the question of like overall, what did you think of the series?
I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I necessarily like how it ended, but I also feel like that might have been on my end because I kind of shotgunned the issue because it's on
Yeah.
Comixology and it's a Comixology original, and so it kind of just shotgunned it because that's how you do it with digital comics sometimes. And then it got to the end, and it's like the end. I'm like, oh, I wasn't really expecting that. But
Yeah.
overall, insofar as like how good the storytelling aspect of it was like top notch. Like I
Yeah.
genuinely like I thought the premise was a super original, because I think a lot of times when comic books either just they subvert old tropes, they kind of set up like this is like, this situation, but what if we do it this way? Whereas this comic, I kind of felt like it was um yeah, intentional to set out to tell a new type of story, even though it was
Yeah.
using older things. It was still very much just a new and original tale for me.
Yeah.
How
No,
about you?
it was,
Did you feel that
yeah,
way?
it was a super clever idea. So this series was written by Mark Bernardin,
Hmm.
and co-wrote it with Adam Freeman, and then the artist is Sebastian Perez or
Yeah,
Perez.
yeah, and I'm a
But
big fan
yeah,
of their work because they did
yeah.
Dark Beach as well. So I
Oh
follow
yeah,
them on
yeah, yeah.
Instagram. So definitely give
That's
them a
why you
follow.
started reading this. It's because you,
Yeah, I would imagine so. And that like just even the covers, again, it's the same person's art on the covers, so I'd imagine that like that's a huge
yeah.
reason as into why. Oh wow, look at that. We just got good timing.
Oh, what's up,
Hey
Eric?
dudes, thanks for reading Outer Space. So glad you enjoyed it. Dude, it
Yeah,
was absolutely phenomenal. Just keep up the good work. We are definitely going to
yeah,
be, you know, either send us issue number 2 or we'll buy issue number 2. Either
yeah.
way, we'll be
We'll
reading it.
find it.
We'll get
Um,
it. We're gonna track it down. We're gonna get our hands on it.
yeah. But so Census, like, so the whole kind of premise of it is, I guess this is actually kind of a good jump from what we were just talking about. But the main character, Liam Malone, he's kind of just like a drifter through life.
Hmm.
Like he's not he keeps getting fired from like minimum wage jobs because he just like doesn't care.
Hmm.
He makes enough to like pay rent each month, which he lives in like a studio apartment with two twins and like some other guy who he's not really friends with either of them.
Yeah.
But he finally just like gets in a position where he needs to find a real job, and so he goes to this job interview for taking census. But it's not like a normal like world government census. This is like the census of all the hellions throughout all like Hades and all that like folklore,
Mm.
werewolves, ghosts, like all of it. It's a census for them, and it's a never-ending job, and it pays like $40 an hour or something like that, and he
Yeah.
just has to go talk to people and get a signature. Um, but yeah, like issue one, like it's just very, very funny.
Hmm.
Like I laughed quite a few times throughout it, and especially when he's just like in the office with his, new boss and just talking about the job and just kind of how like really this is the type of deal I'm getting. Like I really don't have to do much at all. He just didn't know what he was getting himself into, and like the
Hmm.
first house he has to go to is a house of three sisters that are succubuses.
Succubuses. Succubi.
Succubi, yeah. And anyways, I don't want to ruin the rest of issue one, but it was just like
It
very
was so
well
much
done.
fun.
It was a very gripping issue one.
Hmm.
Uh, issue two, like still kind of like I don't say when it like spiked up a whole lot, but it still kind of continued off of issue one and continued to tell a story, like a new story within the main story. I don't
Right.
remember it specifically, but then there's the issue where he wants to like let the ghosts of, I guess, America's past
Right.
uh
Have
like
some like
have some reconciliation to see like
yeah.
how far like their people have come, and he hijacks a parade.
Hmm. Yeah, that was
And
issue number 4, because that's where
yeah,
issue number 5 picks up at. Is
yeah, because
he's trying. Well, he gets arrested and he's in jail for 4 hours, because there's a couple of jokes about that. Because the succubus from the first issue, he ends up courting her,
mhm,
and so yeah, she bails him out, and then kind of just sees some of the dynamic there, and then some other stuff goes on from there. But man, it I don't think that this is going to be the end, mostly just again because of how like it ended, but I
Yeah.
really really hope it's not, because there's so much potential in this world, and I feel like
Oh yeah.
they left it very open, and I would love to see it continue, because just again being a huge fan of the art, a huge
Yeah.
fan of just even the chances to take I'm going to say bold storytelling of just trying to do something, original, of,
Mhm.
yeah, even just outer 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 space as well was something that was just like, original. We're doing something. We have a really cool idea. We're gonna run for this. So
Yeah. So yeah, so Census is great. If you haven't read it, and it's on Comixology. So if you have a Comixology subscription, it's very easy for you. If you don't, like, if you have a Prime membership already, it's like $5 more a month to have Comixology.
yeah, I go off of that deal as well, because I'm a
Yeah.
slave to the machine.
And otherwise,
I
I
have
think if
Prime.
you don't have Prime, it's probably $10 a month, like 9.99 or whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, like there's a lot of really good stuff on Comixology right now. Like not Zack Snyder, Scott Snyder had a had a deal with them for a while, and he has a lot of good stuff up there right now that's available.
yeah. Specifically, Canary and Barnstormers. I think they're the is it Barnstormers or Brainstormers? It's not Brainstormers, it's Barnstormers.
Yeah,
I
but
always
he
forget that.
also did Clear.
Clear. Yep. Yeah, so I mean
Yeah,
he's a bunch. So if yeah, just go to Comixology. We were talking with the comic book layer guys about some other potential indie stuff, and that like indie platforms that are on the horizon, instead of Comixology, because Comixology is a little wonky right now. So we will be sure to keep you posted on that if that stuff comes up
yeah,
and we start using that, because some of them look really cool.
it appears Comixology's fate is up in the air right now.
Yeah. Well, anyways, man, you want to get into some comics that you read this past week?
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, okay. So there's this one that I was intrigued by the title because that's what usually draws me if I'm looking for new comics and I don't have like the cover in front of me. I'm just looking at the list of titles, and one of them that popped out to me was Coins of Judas.
Mm,
And I so both issues are available on Global Comics for purchase, but like the digital copies. But issue one, like the print version of it, came out last Wednesday.
okay.
And yeah, and issue two I think comes out sometime. I guess we're in February now. Happy February,
Happy
everybody.
February,
Um,
buddy.
yeah, and I think yeah, it comes out in 2 weeks from
Okay.
now. So, but yeah, so I got them on Global and read through them pretty quick. It's just two issues that's setting up in another world, like what's going to happen from this point on, and kind of I'll give you the premise here. Have you ever wondered what happened to the 30 pieces of silver that Judas dropped when he betrayed Christ? The
Hmm.
Westergaard family knows, and they have been fighting a hidden war against demons that have been spawned from it for years. However, since the death of Colin Westergaard, this is the father, his daughter and son are split apart as new evil arises. Can they come together to save humanity one more time? And so this story is just told over two issues, and there's already plans for like the sequel, like volume to come out. Um, I loved it. Um,
It sounds really good.
yeah, it was just something else. And so kind of the idea is that when Judas betrayed Christ and then he tried to give back the coins, well, like coin can't cover sin.
Hmm.
And so those coins became essentially demonic in a way, and a demon attached to each one of those coins. And whoever picks up those coins, if they don't know what they're getting themselves into, the demon can start taking over that person.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, and it
That's
was a
such a cool
fun,
premise.
yeah, it was a
S-
really fun 2 issue read. And yeah, if you can get the print of it, like do like go for it. But
I'm
yeah, if
looking
you
at it
just
on eBay. This
yeah.
is, but yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off with that.
But yeah, so I really, really enjoyed it. It's written by Travis Gibb. The artist is Tyler Carpenter. There's a couple other names attached to it as well. I don't have directly in front of me. Last names Kalning and Gagnon. But yeah, it was excellent, and it's put out by Band of Bards, which I'm fairly new to.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that. This definitely
Yeah,
looks dope. So maybe I'm gonna give this a read as well, especially if it's just two.
yeah,
If you can just tell a story, I'm about telling a story, you
yeah,
know? So that's pretty sweet. The art's
yeah.
looking pretty cool. I pulled it up and I'm looking at them and yeah, I'm enjoying the art.
Right on. Well, what did you get into this last week?
My buddy, I don't know what's happening to me, but I started reading a bunch of digital comics, which is, I guess,
Okay,
fine. But yeah, I've just been trying to utilize comiXology a little bit more, just kind of to like dip my toes into some stuff and just see, what's out there and yada yada. But yeah, so this week I picked up something that has been out for, I guess, a little bit now, but it's called Two Graves. Two
okay,
Graves. Try not to have my ring in there, but yeah. So issue number 3 came out I think last month sometime, so in January sometime. So issue number 4 is coming out soon. Um, and this is like just a super trippy story, super just like kind of, what I like in a comic where I'm just like, what's happening? What am I reading right now? Kind of thing. And if it's
yeah,
done well and it can entice you, yeah, I'm just a sucker for that. So I have the description of the comic here. I'm just gonna read that out to you. Amelia and the man with the veil of smoke have set out for the ocean in a stolen truck. There's a bloody handprint on his neck. She's beginning to worry it's hers. Death and the maiden go on a road trip. Nobody gets out alive. A new series from writer Genevieve Valentine, illustrated in illustrated by Annie Wu and Ming Doyle. Yeah, and the art has just been super, super enjoyable. Um, and it from the premise, it seems like this girl here in the bottom, she's set out just kind of they're trekking across the country and they are just kind of they're taking out bad people. So if again, that's not a lot of stuff is being told very slowly, but this man right here seems to be either death or to be like a death because there's later in this series that we meet more people who seem to be of similar power of him. Um, but yeah, I would imagine so all the other ones look normal, but he has like a face of smoke. Let's see if I can find like a better shot of that. Um, and yeah, I would imagine that like maybe it has something to do with I'm pretty sure this girl is supposed to be dead, but he's keeping her alive. Something like that is what it probably seems like is happening. But so far, it's just been them kind of like just having brief conversations of like on the road in between like stopping at motels and stopping at like restaurants. And it's interesting because some people can kind of see them, some people can't see them. It depends on like how they feel about death, um and their relationship towards that and all those kind of things. But yeah, it's just been a super trippy story and I'm very excited to see where it goes and just kind of to see where it all you know plays out. But
right on. So
yeah,
that's
Two Graves. It's from Image, and it looks like it's going to be a 6-issue run, which is a little
okay.
bit.
So this is new, and you got it on Comixology.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay,
If that
yeah,
wasn't clear, but yeah. So I thought I said that the last issue came out last month. Um,
yeah.
I
You did. My apologies.
it's okay, but it could have been a Last Ronin situation where the last issue came out last month, but the first one came out in October of 2006.
Oh
So
yeah.
who knows? But yeah, I think it might be an ongoing series from the look of everything that I saw. If
Okay.
it is, I'll probably just get the trade. I mean, I'm probably gonna keep getting the digital until the end because my comic book shop doesn't have it, or I might just order them online. But if it becomes something that is pretty regular, then I'm gonna ask my comic book shop to pick it up for me because Yeah, I'm just a big fan of like obscure stories. And again, like this one isn't
Yeah,
really like it's just kind of blazing its own trail. And I really enjoy that. So big shout out to this creative team. You
right
giving it a
on.
look over there?
I am, but I think I went to the wrong. There's a book called Two Graves.
Oh no, Mark, what have you done?
I know. There we go. Image Comics, Two Graves.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It says that Two Graves issue 1 came out on November 9th.
okay. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that would oh yeah, so maybe issue
Well,
3 came out early. I don't know. Maybe it came out I don't think it came out today. Anywho, issue 3 is
yeah.
out, issue 4 isn't out. So
Right on.
what else did you get into this week, buddy?
One other thing I got into, and kind of speaking of possible delays between releases, I had an Aftershock comic that I read this week, and it was right here, Samurai Doggy issue number 3.
Nice.
Um, yeah. So again, it's kind of hard with Aftershock right now because you're getting an issue 2, 3, 4, 5 like months after you
Mhm.
got the last one, just because of the legal struggles. And man, like I do love Aftershock, but like that does hurt them because I have to try and remember the what's going on in issue 1 and issue 2
Yeah.
again. And so I went and read some like summaries and just tried to refresh on it. um but yeah, it seems to me that like issues 1, 2, and 3 all work together as like kind of how Dragon Ball Z tells stories. It's like
Okay.
there's 3 episodes of like one fight scene,
Yeah.
and like issue 1 is like him entering the arena. Issue 2 is like him in the arena and having conversations and like got into a few scuffles, and then issue 3 is like he's taking on everybody who's coming after him. And
Mhm.
they're all these like robot, like sentient robot people, and they're like, and this is what I love about the series is just the way that the characters are drawn, like is just so like hip and cool.
That's that's fantastic. I'm gonna have to look
um
that up. Hip and cool, you say?
but yeah, and I believe it's a 7 issue series.
Oh wow.
So like I'm okay with like 1, 2, and 3 kind of being this like setup, but and so I really am hoping that issue 4 is kind of like, okay, now we've hit the ground. Can we start running?
Dude, I'm a big fan of this art. If this is the art that this looks like it, yeah. That's fantastic art. Oh, I'm really bummed
Yeah.
that I don't
So
even
the
think my
artist,
shop has
yeah,
this.
the artist is Santos. He does amazing stuff, and
Mhm.
it's written by Chris Tex. Um, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun.
I would
It's
love to see him do a Star Wars comic
Oh
because
yeah, that'd be awesome.
I feel like his art would just lend so perfectly to those worlds. But yeah,
Yeah.
sorry I cut you off there with that.
Oh, that's all right. But yeah, like honestly, getting through issues 1 through 3 is like it's pretty quick, especially issue 3, because like so much like the first, I think, half of the story has 4 boxes of dialogue. And so there's just all this artistic action going on in each panel. And then like a few double pages themselves are like one panel, like in a row. And there's just so much like going on in each of those pictures that like really, it really just drew me into them. So yeah, if nothing else, like yeah, the story's good and it's a good setup so far. I'm just hoping, yeah, that it'll run a little bit deeper into like let's get into it. But the art is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Um,
I that looks really dope. We need to make like a document that we could because you can do this. You can share Google Docs with like the public, right? We can make one that just is like just trade paperbacks that we should get, you know? Because I think
yeah,
like we talk a lot about, I mean, obviously it'll be easier to remember because we're talking about it with each other, but that would be great to just make a list of like be remember this trade paperback, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe there's
Yeah, you
something that
gotta.
we could do.
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, I'm getting into trying to watch for trade paperbacks more this year. So
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I know.
yeah,
I think that's a goal for both of us. So
yeah,
I actually was thinking about doing that tonight, but I just didn't have time. I like to do trade paperbacks on like the weekend when I go to my shop and just kind of like, um, yeah, just like spend time kind of just meticulously looking through the shelves, because
Yeah.
our and my there's some like new ones that are like cover facing, but most of them are like sideways on a shelf. So you kind of have to sit there and like cock your head and just look at the whole thing. But
Right.
yeah, it's perfect for a Sunday. But speaking of aftershock and unfortunately having to wait for a long time in between drinks and drinks, no pun intended, this is called the Vineyard. Um, and it's about drinking wine. And I was actually very fortunate with this story because the story is very simple and concise and just very like to the point. It's like this family has a vineyard, and the wine that they get is so good because they sacrifice to Dionysus. How do you say that?
Dionysus.
Dionysus. And it's super interesting because you can see how the family's relationship to this god is played out in the art, because some of them can see like the deities coming out of the spirits coming out of the ground and stuff, and others can't. And it seems like it's dependent upon their level of faith in the actual god itself. um and then the story is just super simple of just the family just kind of be it in conflict with each other, uh, you know some of them wanting to the daughter wants to separate herself from this family completely, the mother's on the fence, the father's paralyzed, but he still stays true to his god, and the son is kind of shown as being the next um figure to lead the commission on sacrificing humans to get good wine. And so I think this is just 4 issues. I'm not 100% sure, so it might be wrapping up soon. But even if it's not, I follow Brian Hawkins, who is the writer. I follow him on Instagram, so if big shout out to him. This is a great story, and also shout out to the artist Sammy Cavella. Does a fantastic job as well. It's you can she does the grapes here on the cover is fantastic. You can like feel the mushiness of it, and I
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that like
I've been loving this series.
those covers are super rad. And I remember when
Mhm.
issue 1 came out, because it was sitting in that stack of like, they hadn't put the comics on like the new shelf yet. Like I got there early enough to where like, yeah, we're like a little behind, but whatever. And so
Mhm.
they'll just have them like in a stack. And I remember going through it and seeing it. It's like, man, this is interesting, but like, I think I can only get like one more out of here or whatever.
Right.
And I passed on that one. And you ended up getting it. And
Hey, maybe that'll be our trade for trade aftershock thing. Like, I'll get Samurai Doggy if you get the Vineyard. They're both aftershock. They'll both be trade paperback eventually, and yeah.
yeah.
Um well, hey man, we're getting close to the end, but any other comics that you want to shout out or anything
Yeah,
like that?
so I finally got to a trade paperback that I've been sitting on for a while, and let's see, it's right here. I'm gonna pull this baby down. It's Batman
Oh,
and
right.
Robin. Sorry, I bumped my mic. Um,
That looks
yeah,
beautiful.
and so this is by the same team of Little Monsters. So we got
Right.
Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen.
Whatever that was.
Yeah,
A
that
fairy
sorry,
just
that's
flew by.
my phone is ringing, and I will get to it. But yeah, so I finally read through that, and like I really enjoyed it, just because like when I was a kid, I'm the younger brother of two,
Mm.
and I always had to be Robin, and this really is more of like a Robin story, but it's like it begins like on the last day before Batman thinks Robin is ready to like start going out.
Mm.
And like that's where it picks up, and you go through this kind of Robin has to find his own identity, because like when he first shows up in this like in panel 1 or whatever, he's not wearing his Robin attire. He's just Dick Grayson in like dark clothes,
Mm.
kind of like, like Daredevil ish, like
Right.
just wore
Yeah.
like he had like a bandana across his mouth, and he was in all black clothes. um and And it just goes to this story of him like having to come to his own self-discovery of like what he's doing and what vengeance he's seeking.
Mm.
And the villain of it is Killer Croc,
Oh, that's cool.
because he figured out who Robin was,
Mm.
because they were a part of the same circus.
Ah,
And
that's cool.
like Robin, when he or Dick when he was younger, he remembers seeing like the Killer Croc, but just like dehumanized by everybody else.
Mm.
And he's an innocent child like watching this, but he's also like, well, that's what everybody else does, so that's what I have to go through. Like that's kind of how I have to treat him. But he was like never
Sure.
outwardly like cruel to Croc. But Croc also suffered from the jealousy of the Graysons, the Flying
Mm.
Graysons.
Hmm.
And
That's a really cool story.
yeah,
And I bet the art, I bet him drawing Killer Croc is very good.
yeah.
Let's see if I can
No,
find
it
that.
was excellent. And it's mostly watercolors too, and it's just brilliant. So
That sounds
yeah,
really
I
nice.
really enjoyed that one. So but yeah, let's wrap this thing up.
Oh man. Well, hold on. Before we
Oh
wrap
yeah.
things up, let me just say I have been reading just Once Upon a Time at the End of the Earth and It's Only Teenage Wasteland. I've just
Oh
been
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
reading those back to back. We kind of talked about it a little bit. I'm gonna just kind of trek through these slowly and just see what I think. So I'll be touching out those and that and Art Brute. Yeah, those are just all the ones that I've kinda just been slowly reading digitally when I get a chance.
Yeah.
I've been the only comic that I think I read physically this week, um, was The Vineyard, and maybe one other one, I can't remember, but got some great
Yeah.
ones this week, so definitely gonna be reading those.
Right
Behold
on.
Behemoth, here I come.
Here you
But
come. Um well yeah. You can find us, the Pullbox Pals,
woo!
at the Pullbox Pals on Instagram. You can find Monk over there at that Monk guy. You can find me as Mad Nerdy, Mad_nerdy. And we are also on TikTok, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you obviously know that. Uh, and Twitch. And are we still doing Facebook?
Yep. Yep, we're on
Yep.
Facebook now even.
Cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can find us there. And thank you everybody for joining us. And as we always say,
You haven't read comics like this in years.